My sisters and brothers, as we gather today, we said at the beginning of the Mass, we celebrate today in our Salesian calendar the feast of Blessed Michael Rua. Michael Rua was Don Bosco's first successor. He overtook the congregation after Don Bosco died. He first met Don Bosco when he was 8 years old. And there was that little gesture of Don Bosco cutting nothing in half, but whatever Don Bosco saw there, he cut in half. And he took half of it and put it in the hand of this little 8-year-old kid and said to him, Michael, from now on, you and I are going to go halves in everything. And truly, Michael Rua became Don Bosco's right-hand man right through Don Bosco's life. And when Don Bosco died, he was the successor, the vicar of Don Bosco, became the new general of the congregation. During Don Rua's reign in the congregation, when Don Bosco died, there were 770 Salesians. Don Rua was rector major for 22 years. When he died in 1910, there were 4,000 Salesians. That had spread to over 30 nations already. He is the one who, so to say, solidified Don Bosco's mission, Don Bosco's inheritance, Don Bosco's tradition. As Pope St. Paul VI said, he took a little stream and he made it into a river. We think about Don Rua today, and certainly, as I said, he has a lot to say to us who are Salesians. But I think also he has something to say to all of us in our Catholic life. And what can we learn from Don Rua? And I think the first thing we can learn from Don Rua is prayer and fasting. Prayer and fasting. Don Rua was a man of incredible prayer, but it was union with God that he practiced through little short prayers throughout the day. He was constantly speaking to the Lord through little prayers throughout the day. Lord, have mercy. Jesus, help me. Mary, help of Christians, pray for me. Little prayers throughout the day that he constantly said. This is something we can all do. We can all practice union with God through little short prayers throughout the day that express to God our desire to be near him and for the needs that we have. And so I think the first thing Don Rua says to us is pray in a simple but intimate and deep way. Raise your mind and heart to God constantly throughout the day. And the second thing I think that we can learn from Don Rua in a special way is fasting. I listen to some people fast, and maybe it's just me because I'm weak. I got to admit that, all right? But I hear people say they fast for 2 days, for 3 days. They only have water. They only have bread. They only do all of these things. And I find it very much. I do for myself. But we're told that Don Rua never sat at the table without making some sacrifice. Never sat at the table without making some sacrifice. Something we can all do. I sit at the table and there's something there I don't like to eat. Well, I can eat it and shut up about it. That's a sacrifice. Or maybe there's something there I really like. And I could skip that and take a little bit more of something I don't like. And that's a sacrifice. And we can be fasting constantly and continually, and nobody even knows anything about it except our Father in heaven. And Jesus tells us our Father in heaven, who knows all these things, will reward us. Little things, not major things. When I want that extra little piece of dessert and I don't take it, it's a sacrifice. And so I think these are simple ways that Don Rua teaches us through prayer, constant little prayers throughout the day, through fasting constantly and continually, fasting in little ways. And the other important thing I think that we can learn from Don Rua is to really be gentle and kind with one another and to keep in contact with one another. When Don Rua died, there was a Salesian missionary in South America who boasted that he had received and had copies of, in hand, 110 letters that Don Rua wrote to him. Every single letter he ever wrote to Don Rua answered. He constantly kept, even though sometimes it was a pain in the neck for him. He was running all over the world at this point. The congregation was growing. The houses were multiplying. And yet he found time to keep relationships going, to keep relationships alive. And I sit around and I think how many times I say, I didn't have time to make that phone call. I didn't have time to respond to that text, because nowadays it's texts instead of letters. I didn't have time to spend with that person because I had something else to do. I think Don Rua tells us, put the person in the center and make sure we find time for one another. And not only all the extraneous things that we do throughout the day. As we reflect on this model for us Salesians, but certainly a model for all of us in the church, we pray to his intercession that we might have the love that inspired him to be a model and an example for others. God bless you.